Hello, New Mexico, and welcome to another episode of Around the Roundhouse, a podcast featuring the policies, politics, and personalities of the state of New Mexico. My name is Daniel Chacón, and I'm the state government reporter for the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our guest this week is Santa Fe's next mayor, Michael Garcia, a sitting city councilor who emerged the winner Tuesday from a crowded field of 8 candidates. Mr. Garcia is a Santa Fe native who has promised to deliver transparency and accountability as the city's next mayor. Mike, I imagine you're in high demand after Tuesday's election, so thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Look forward to the conversation.
So tell me what you did on Wednesday. Did you go spend the day at Ojo Caliente?
I wish. I truly wish. My day started bright and early like it does typically every morning. I mean, just because I won an election doesn't mean I don't have to drop kids off at school. So I got up early, had to get kids ready, and ultimately out the door. And especially with the toddler, my gosh, that's a battle in itself. And he was up late because he was up with the sitter, and so he was a little grumpy trying to get out the door. But hey, we made it out safe, and that just kind of continued on with the day. It was nonstop calls, connecting with folks, and I wish I had taken the opportunity to take a nap because it was definitely an exhausting day before. But hey, we got through it, and last night I did hit the hay a little earlier than a typical night.
Mike, take us back to Tuesday night. What went through your mind when Santa Fe County Clerk Catherine Clark declared you the winner?
It was a huge sigh of relief. And as the results started to come in, I mean, I had a good sense that we were going to continue the momentum that we were on. As somebody who's been involved in politics a long time, you really look at the numbers and really look at the number working in or against somebody, and is there opportunity for somebody to actually catch up? I mean, we held a steady lead throughout the night. I think we started off with at least a 2,000 vote lead at some points throughout the different rounds, and they were very quick. And so I'm currently trying to get the round by round, play by play, but from what I've been able to see, there were at some points where we even jumped ahead by nearly 4,000 votes. At the end of the day, I think we are going to end up having a 63% victory, 63 to 36%. I was quite surprised that it did go all 7 rounds. And this is where, again, I'm a data person. I'm a policy wonk data nerd. And looking at the numbers, it looks like there was a good number of votes where folks only voted for one person. And that ultimately had an impact on how the numbers rolled out. So I'm just thankful that we were ultimately declared the victor. It was a huge sigh of relief, knowing that, okay, that phase of the work is done. And now actually the real work begins. And so, we started some of that work yesterday with establishing who is going to lead the transition team. I've got 2 individuals who are going to be the co-chairs. And now we're filling the spots on the rest of the transition team, because what we want to do is really begin to get to work. We will have 2 short months ahead of us before I get sworn in on December 30th. And I want to ensure that on day 1, my team is ready to hit go, and we can begin to immediately work with city staff to get work done on behalf of the Santa Fe residents.
And Mike, who is on your transition team, or who will be the co-chairs, and why did you select those 2 particular people?
Sure. And so I've got 2 folks, Charlotte Roybal and Manuel Garcia. Both I've known for an extremely long time. We need to have folks that we're confident and comfortable that are actually going to work on our behalf and not work against us. And so Charlotte has had transition experience in the past. Okay. And so we're going to lean heavily on that. Manuel Garcia, he has more of kind of the business acumen, and he was my campaign treasurer actually. And we want to ensure that we have 2 folks. It's that way it doesn't solely rely on one person that can ultimately work with our full entire transition team as we begin to initiate the contact with all city staff. First it's going to begin with the mayor, the current mayor, and the city manager. And then what we're going to do is just allow the delegation of duties and allow for the appropriate transition team members to meet with the appropriate city department staff.
Okay. Mike, you mentioned phone calls on Wednesday. Has Mayor Alan Weber reached out to you?
He did reach out yesterday. I unfortunately had missed his call, so he left a voicemail. But he did reach out, offering his support, his congratulations on my victory, and he's willing to have a smooth transition. So I'm thankful for that, and looking forward to, working alongside him and City Manager Scott as we again over these next 7 weeks transition from his administration to ours.
Okay. I was going to ask you about your transition team and what voters can expect in the first 100 days of the Garcia administration.
So we're going to immediately be, one of the things I'm going to have our transition team begin to look at is funding or monetary resources, because one of my commitments is to hire more police officers. And ultimately, we're going to need more monetary resources in the onset to make that happen. I won't be able to fully initiate my own budget until the fiscal year 28 budget, most likely. The city government is kind of beginning the process of looking at the fiscal year 27 budget, but there's going to be a lot of fingerprints of the current administration on this budget. But I want to ensure that as we're moving forward, I am working to ensure that there are monetary resources, not only for hiring more police officers, but really beginning to build back a robust parks department. That's another department that has seen extreme depletion. And my priority is to get back to the meat and potatoes of government work, really ensuring that our basic city services are at full capacity with staff that ultimately can lead to the highest quality of services being delivered to the residents of Santa Fe. So that's across the spectrum of all city government, really understanding where the vacancies lie, why they're lying there, what are the challenges, is it pay, is it due to lack of technical skills, really beginning to understand how my administration can recruit and, most importantly, retain talented individuals. That's going to help us over the next 4 years.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, pick your brain a little bit about the election and why you think you emerged the winner. Voters have expressed disappointment in Weber, who was not from Santa Fe. Do you think voters wanted a native Santa Fean as opposed to someone who, to quote former Mayor Debbie Jaramillo, just got off the bus?
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to skill set. Whether somebody has relocated to Santa Fe or has lived there their whole life, I think ultimately voters want somebody that truly can represent the needs and will of the residents. I mean, if we look at even some of my opponents, I mean, and this is by no means no disrespect to Oscar. I mean, Oscar grew up in Colorado. He was not originally from Santa Fe. His ancestors lived in Santa Fe, and so. But it was a strong opponent. And so I think folks at the end of the day want somebody who has the technical skills, the professional skills, and ultimately the ability to lead government forward. And so I fully confidently believe being from Santa Fe should not solely be a prerequisite to be the mayor of Santa Fe.
Okay. Mike, just wanted to offer one little tiny correction. Oscar actually grew up in the Permian Basin in Texas as opposed to Colorado. But
sorry.
just wanted to get that out there. No big deal. Mike, while you've served in public office for 6 years as a city councilor, serving as a mayor of New Mexico's capital city is going to be a whole different ballgame. Are you feeling any apprehension about living life in a fishbowl?
No. I mean, when I took on the role of a city councilor, that was a big portion of my life that I knew I had to give up. I mean, ultimately, that's why I was always hesitant to kind of seek any type of political office, because I do like my personal life, I like my private life, and most importantly, I want to ensure that my family's privacy is protected. But at the end of the day, I truly felt that we need to ensure that we have leadership that is working not only for the residents of Santa Fe, but working towards future generations. And so if that means that I have to give up some of my personal privacy, I'm all for it. The one thing that I will fight for and ensure that uh, does not get violated is the privacy of my family. But me, I'm fair game. I'm in this. I'm now going to be our city's next mayor, and I'm willing to take the applause as well as the criticism.
Okay. Mike, in your acceptance speech, you noted there's a lot of work and real challenges ahead of Santa Fe that will require a lot of heavy lifting. Expectations are high. So are you feeling the pressure to not only deliver, but deliver fast?
Yes, absolutely. That's what I got elected for, was to ultimately get things moving quickly. And I think that's where my experience as a city councilor will work to my advantage. I've got the existing relationships, not only with my colleagues on the council, but more importantly, our city staff. That's who gets the work done at the end of the day, is our city staff, and really beginning to ensure that we're providing them with the resources to get their job done. For example, when we look at concerns that we've heard loud and clear from residents regarding our land use department and our permitting process, I'm going to now begin to work over these next 2 months very closely. That this is one task that I'm going to take on personally, is working with our land use staff to ensure that once I take office on December 30th, we can begin to immediately support them. Because right now I'm in that kind of weird phase where I'm going to be the mayor, but I don't have the authorities that the mayor currently has. So my plan is to begin to immediately develop my list of actions that I can take on day one based off of staff feedback. Again, this is a team effort. This is not my own personal vision and agenda where I'm going to be making it somewhat of a autocracy. That we've lived the last 7 years under this current administration under that type of leadership. And that's not what I'm going to be bringing to the city of Santa Fe. We're bringing a holistic type of government, a holistic type of leadership. And I am ultimately going to be kind of the person who is, I'll put it in the, I guess, a metaphor of like an orchestra. You have a conductor, but the conductor would not be as successful if they didn't have a successful and well playing violin section that played well with, your cello section that played well with your drum section. And so my job is to ensure that we're all in alignment. We're all working together towards the same goal, and we're doing what we need to do to ultimately get the job done on behalf of the residents in Santa Fe. I mean, in essence, that's my job, is to ensure that we are delivering for the residents of Santa Fe.
Okay. You mentioned the mayor's authority, the mayor's powers, and under the city charter, you will be responsible for appointing your replacement on the city council.
Mhm.
Do you have someone in mind, someone who will support your agenda as mayor?
So I don't have anybody in mind, and most importantly, I'm not going to select somebody that is just in alignment with my agenda. The priority is to ensure that whomever gets selected, they are in alignment with the District 2 residents' needs. That's the role of the District 2 counselor. I mean, that's why I got elected as a counselor currently, is to ensure that I'm meeting the needs of my constituents. And so whomever my replacement is, they're going to have to earn the support of the District 2 residents. That's the priority. So my vision is that I'm going to have an open call for applications. I'm going to encourage all of the folks that ran in this previous election, as well as anybody that might have ran in elections prior, and anybody else that might want to serve. I truly want to ensure that whomever will replace me for these next 2 years, that they were going to work their hardest to represent the needs of the District 2 residents.
And part of that process, if I understand correctly, what I've read in the past is that you will include the community in that decision making. Am I understanding that correctly?
Oh, absolutely. And so the way that will work, it's based off of how many folks actually kind of throw their hat in the ring, so to speak. Because it can be a very different process. If there are 3 folks that throw their hat in the ring, we can facilitate a process like a forum that folks typically see. If there are 50 people, I'm going to have to figure out how to facilitate a different process, because ultimately my goal is to ensure that the residents of District 2 have an understanding of who all the potential candidates are for this position. So that's I think where I'm going to have to lean on my facilitation skills to determine at the end of the day, however many people put their hand in for potential nomination, that I'm able to allow for the District 2 residents to as well be part of the process.
Okay. Mike, in Tuesday's election, voters also approved changes to limit the mayor's powers. One measure states the mayor can only vote in the event of a tie, and the other allows the city council with 6 votes to fire the city manager, city attorney, or city clerk. I'm curious how you voted on those charter amendments.
I voted in favor of them. I was a sponsor of one of the proposed amendments. The amendment to limit the mayoral's voting powers was actually a proposal I tried to get passed 2 years ago, and the council at the time did not support the proposal. With the new council on board, the council did support the proposal this go around, and ultimately the voters supported it. I think at the end of the day, the voters and residents of Santa Fe want to see a clear separation of powers, and so I was the only candidate that was, I think, very vocal in support of it, because I truly believe that the mayor should solely be the executive, and the council should solely be the legislative, and so this process is going to continue on as we move forward. There will be a charter commission convened in April. They will begin to explore how we can continue to separate these powers. And I honestly am going to truly advocate that the mayor has no voting powers whatsoever, that the mayor should have maybe a veto authority. And that way it allows for the residents who have concerns around really understanding where the mayor might lie on certain issues. They can gain that understanding because the mayor will then have to sign or veto legislation. And then residents can truly understand where the mayor stands on issues. So I'm in full support of continuing the separation of powers. Regarding the city council having the authority to remove the city manager, city clerk, and city attorney, again, I was in support of that. The council can right now remove the city manager. It was adding in the city attorney and city clerk. And I think in those instances where the council might feel that the city attorney or city clerk is not acting in the best interest of the residents of Santa Fe, there should be a mechanism where that individual can be removed and not solely at the purview of the mayor. I mean, because then there's no accountability at play at the end, in my opinion. If, for example, if the city attorney is only working in the best interest of the mayor, the city government, the residents have no real way to remove that individual. There's not a recall process. There's not a way for the city councilors to take action. And again, I truly believe when there are roles such as, for example, the city attorney, that can really prevent work from being done on behalf of the council, there needs to be accountability at play.
And you have experienced that firsthand, correct?
I would say yes, and I'm by no means do I want to imply why things may or may not have happened, but it's evident that capacity needs to be built in the city attorney's office due to the lack of legislation getting out of that office. If city staff, and in particular within the city attorney's office, are at full capacity and they can't get legislation out on behalf of the councilors, then we need to build the capacity at the end of the day, because councilors are elected to pass policy. And when councilors can't get their job done, then in essence, they're not allowing for the work to be done on behalf of the residents of Santa Fe. And when I meant today, city government is not allowing for the work to be done on behalf of city government. So then it falls back on me as mayor to ensure that there is that capacity within the city attorney's office. And so that's another matter I'm going to address, is really understanding what are the capacity needs, how many folks do we need in that office to ensure that legislation is not stacked up, to ensure that our city staffers are not overwhelmed by the workload that's coming in. And at the end of the day, we're getting work done on behalf of the residents of Santa Fe. I mean, that's truly what we should be doing.
I've read that our current city attorney has plans down the future, but I wanted to ask you if you plan to keep City Manager Mark Scott. Do you plan to solicit applications for that job as well as for the city attorney and city clerk, a nationwide search? What's your plan to fill those positions?
So my plan is to have an open application search for all three positions.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, this current city attorney has already given notice that she is going to be vacating that role. Now, with City Manager Scott and City Clerk Salazar, I'm highly encouraging them to put in their application just like anybody else. I want to ensure that we're having an open process. That's ultimately what I feel the voters elected me to do, which was to have an open and transparent process in regards to who the leadership is going to be for the next 4 years. Now, if Mr. Scott or Ms. Salazar are the cream of the crop and rise to be the best candidates, then so be it. But I ultimately going to have a fully vetted process that will not only be under my purview, but I'm also going to include the current counselors as well as the incoming counselors. I want to ensure that we are working as a team. We are going to be creating a team environment and get away from these kind of siloed, allied type of environments. That did not work for the last 8 years, and that has led to the frustration of folks. My job is to now build a team that is ultimately going to get the work done.
As you are well aware, a lot of attention has been placed on the finance department over the late audits. Where are we with the audits and with this year's audit, I should say, and what direction do you plan to take the finance department?
So it's my understanding that we are on track to submit our audit in on time. I think from my understanding, I don't sit on the finance committee, so I don't get all the immediate updates unless I watch the finance committee meeting. But I think there were some issues maybe around because of the federal government shutdown. There are some delays in getting guidance out around reporting, et cetera. But it's my understanding that the state auditor is aware of such delays and might extend deadlines. But again, my holistic perspective is that we are going to get the audit in on time. We have been given no inclination or update from the finance director, Ms. Oster, that we will be looking at a late audit. We're supposed to be turning it in on time.
Okay, fantastic. Mr. Mayor-elect, any parting words for Santa Fe?
I'm just thankful that folks really came out. That we really showed that folks were engaged this election cycle. People were paying attention, and I know it was a little harder given that there was 8 candidates, and residents really had to learn where 8 candidates' positions were on many different topics. So I'm just thankful for the engagement that the residents had. I'm also thankful for a spirited campaign with my other colleagues during the cycle. I learned a lot from the others. I will be ensuring that they have an opportunity to participate should they want to. Again, this is our government. This is not going to be solely my administration, and we're going to be closed off, and we're going to only allow folks to partner up with us who supported our campaign. That is going to be we're going to be absolutely 100% opposite of that. The folks that didn't support us, I'm going to be encouraging them the most to support us. My job is to ensure that we are representing the needs and wants of everybody in our community. And so I'm just excited for what the future holds for Santa Fe. Again, I acknowledge there's going to be a lot of work ahead of us. And this is where it's going to take us as a community. So, there are several immediate tasks that I'm going to be taking to ensure that happens. One, I've already been in contact with some of our colleagues on the county commission. I'm going to be convening a joint session between the county commission and the city council and the governing body to ensure that we have a cadence of meetings set up. I'm going to be doing the same with our school board. I'm going to be doing the same with our legislative delegation, both federal and state. I want our body, the governing body, to ensure that we are working in a collaborative manner, not only looking at the city, but at more of a regional level, because a lot of the issues that are impacting our community, whether it's crime or homelessness, These are regional issues. And same thing for affordable housing. And so again, I'm just looking forward to more of a spirited, collaborative approach that my administration is going to take, and we're going to have fun doing it as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next 4 years, and I wish you well. And thank you for joining us today. And thank you, as always, to our viewers and listeners for tuning into Around the Roundhouse. Join us every week as we talk to newsmakers in the political realm by subscribing to our podcast through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. For the latest developments, as well as our coverage of Tuesday's election, go to SantaFeNewMexican.com, where you can also subscribe to our political newsletter, the Roundhouse Report. Until next time, I'm Daniel Chacón, and this has been Around the Roundhouse.